We often see high-level talent flock to competing in Melee at DreamHack events around the world due to the large amount of prize money that comes along with the prestigious DreamHack name. And this weekend, that legendary name comes to one of Melee's strongest regions in the world, SoCal, more specifically Anaheim, where players that meet often at locals like Fiction, Lucky, and Captain Faceroll will be meeting with much higher stakes on the line than they do at Nimbus. So to get you excited for yet another exciting weekend of 2020 Melee, let's talk about the players and storylines you should be looking out for this weekend in Anaheim. And just like with any large event in 2020, I'll be doing pre-game coverage of DreamHack Anaheim over on my Twitch channel. 2 hours before Top 8 starts on Sunday, I'll be looking back at the exciting matches that got us to that point, as well as running through the projected matches still left of the event to find out who has the best chance of winning a DreamHack title. The schedule is on screen right now, but be sure to follow me over on twitch.tv/SaveAsUntitled or join the Discord server, both linked down in the description, to make sure you don't miss out on any action. We'll start off our discussion with Fiction, the favorite to win the event. It's definitely too early in the year to start throwing together concrete rankings, but with the performances Fiction has put up in the first 2.5 months of the year, he's looking to reserve himself a place in Melee's top 10. At Genesis, the Fox main earned his invite to Summit with a 5th place finish, beating None, Captain Faceroll, Westballs, Chudat, and Free Palestine, while losing a heartbreaking last hit set against Leffen before finally being eliminated by HBox. Fiction didn't have the extra motivation to try to claim the last Summit spot at Saving Mr. Lombardi 2 like everyone else there did, but it looks like he didn't even need that as he won the event, only dropping a singular set to Lucky and Pools while crushing the rest of the competition. This victory included double eliminating IBDW and destroying other top talent like Spark, Bimbo, Ginger, Army, and Null. And just last weekend at Summit, Fiction got 7th, his lowest placing of the year, but still had an incredible showing beating Amza, Wizrobe, and Hax before being eliminated on the final day of the event. It's crazy to think that just a few years ago, this was the guy getting 65th at Genesis 5, losing to Rocky and Fluid. So needless to say, Fiction stands head and shoulders above everyone else in attendance this weekend as the man to beat, which begs the question, who's the most likely to take him down? Lucky is the first player that comes to mind, as he's the only person here at DreamHack who has taken a set off Fiction so far this year. The pair of Fiction and Lucky also finished out 2019 tied with 2 sets apiece, so the Orange Fox is for sure a cause for concern, but if he's able to bring the same heat he brought against Hax's Fox at Summit, Fiction should be fine. But looking down the results of the rest of that event, as well as Lucky's Genesis performance, I don't know if he'll even be able to make it to play Fiction, depending on what the seeding looks like. Lucky has for sure had struggles with consistency in the past, but his 65th at Genesis losing the Ditto to Ice and then being eliminated by old school Samus main Daryl still came as an unwelcome surprise to pretty much everyone. His Saving Mr. L results were weird too, as he did take that aforementioned set from Fiction's Fox, but barely kept it together versus Blasty's Fox and lost to Null, all in the same pool. So Lucky is even more of a wild card than usual, with his potential ceiling being as high as winning the event, but it also being just as likely that he won't even make it the top 8 on the final day of DreamHack. SJ has a similarly threatening aura as Lucky, as Fiction finished the year only up 3-2 against the Falcon, with neither being able to win 2 sets in a row against the other. Johnny looked absolutely vicious against Spaceys at Saving Mr. Lombardi as well, beating Ginger twice, Westballs, Ice, Prof in the run back, and Lucky, but he couldn't quite beat Cody's Fox, which was the last in the Spaceys gauntlet that kept him from earning his way into Summit and getting a shot at Fiction at that event. The most interesting story around S2J right now centers around the discussion on who claims the title of the best Falcon in the world. In most of recent memory, Wizrobe held this title in a tier above both S2J and None, who squabbled over 2nd place for the longest time. But now that it appears that Wizzy's cold streak isn't going to be stopping anytime soon, with him losing the Faceroll and Ryo beat at Genesis and dropping sets to Fiction, Axe, and IBDW at Summit. According to most, None holds the crown currently, with notable wins over Amza, IBDW, Ginger, and S2J himself, but I honestly don't think Johnny is too far behind. None of the wins he could pick up this weekend, besides maybe Fiction, would be a huge feather in his cap that would potentially make his resume pop more than the other Falcons, but a win here at DreamHack could potentially sway some to saying that S2J is Melee's best Falcon right now. The last major threat that Fiction has to worry about is Captain Faceroll and his Sheik. However, based on the pair's recent history, Faceroll is for sure the lowest of these 3 major concerns, as Fiction's 3-1 over the Captain at Genesis marks the 4th straight set in a row that he's won after starting off 2019 losing 3 straight sets to the Sheik. However, the rest of Genesis went pretty damn well for Captain Faceroll, with him clutching out Game 5 sets against Swedish Delight, Wizrobe, and IPDW, but unfortunately falling one win short of making it into Summit, thanks to that Fiction loss having him finish 9th. And with how hot he was playing there, most expected him to be a huge threat at saving Mr. Lombardi too, despite the fact that he was also helping TO the event. But everything in combination appeared to spread Griffin too thin, finishing 9th here as well, losing to SFAT, Professor Pro, and Mike Hayes, which does add credence to the idea that Fiction may win if they meet again this weekend. But Faceroll hasn't just been sitting on his hands in the time since. At the first UCI Weekly he's attended in the weeks since saving Mr. Lombardi, he got 2nd, beating Kodoran and Squid, both of who are going to be at DreamHack, while being double eliminated by Westballs. And at the most recent one as of the writing of this video, he got 1st, double eliminating Kodoran. So at larger events in 2020, Faceroll has had one great event and one underwhelming one, so the storyline for him this weekend is showing us which of these two Facerolls we should be expecting to show up at bigger events moving forward. And that covers Fiction and his 3 biggest threats at DreamHack Anaheim: Lucky, Esther J, and Captain Faceroll. One of these 4 will almost assuredly be our DreamHack Anaheim champion, but that doesn't mean there aren't other interesting players that will be competing this weekend. And in the middle of writing this video, Army decided to throw his hat into the ring to compete at DreamHack as well. He's easily at least the 5th biggest threat at this event, and maybe even as high as or even more threatening than SJ for some of these players. For a refresher, he beat Plub and Dreffin at Genesis and went on an insane run at saving Mr. Lombardi, beating Squid, IBDW, Triff twice, Albert, and Captain Faceroll while losing to Kzu, Prof, and Fiction. So needless to say, he's got a strong stranglehold over the title of the best Ices in the world right now, and DreamHack looks to give him another chance to run up the score even further. But Ices are viewed as high variance characters for good reason, and his records from 2019 of down 1-2 against Mike Hayes, 2-3 against Squid, and even 1-1 against Hugo also put the argument out there that he may bust her out before top 8 with a rough draw in bracket. But only time will tell. West's recent rank of 31st best in the world is the lowest he's ever been in his Melee career, and this appears to have potentially lit a fire under him to attempt to reclaim his former glory. I say potentially because we have things like West saying that he wasn't giving it his all in pools at saving Mr. Lombardi, due to the fact that he didn't think it mattered for the final bracket, happening alongside him winning stacked local events over people like Ginger and SFAT. West has always been and will continue to be an enigma in and outside the game, but I'll be damned if his Falco isn't fun to watch. This year he sits down 1-5 on Fiction, up 2-1 on Captain Faceroll, and up 2-0 on Lucky, so his potential for a deep run or even a win at DreamHack is definitely there, but we'll have to wait till this weekend to see how it all plays out. Mike Hayes is already following up his quietly good 2019 that had him ranked 33rd at the end of the year, with another year performing well but getting lost in the noise, getting 25th at Genesis beating Prince Abu, and beating SFAT, Faceroll, and Westballs en route to a 9th at saving Mr. L. Hugs' downslide from a top 20 player continues, as it appears he's been turning his focus elsewhere, especially with his losses to Bizarro, Flame, and Squid at saving Mr. L. But maybe the former DreamHack champion has been grinding to earn another DreamHack title, but it'll be an extremely rough battle to do so. Albert, the Falco adorned as the H-Box Slayer, is going to have to step on the gas if he wants to stay in the top 50 come summertime, because defending a spot as the 37th best player in the world is going to be rough, especially seeing as Squid is his only top 100 win 2.5 months into 2020. Speaking of Squid, the prospects of the 67th ranked Red Falco aren't looking incredibly great either, with his local records of 0-2 against Lucky, 2-6 against Kodoran, and 0-3 against Nut not boding well for this event or any larger event he'll attend in the immediate future. Beyond that strong record up on Squid, Nut is in the same boat with unfavorable local records like 0-4 against Faceroll, 0-5 against Fiction, and 2-4 against Kodoran that will impede his ability to make it in the top 8 on Sunday unless he's able to turn some of these losing records around. And all of these positive records Kodoran has already put up against these players, some of who he's gotten the chance to play 5+ times already in 2020, chances are looking pretty good for him to make a deep run at DreamHack. His fellow Marth compatriot Ty, ranked 4 spots above him on the 2019 ranking, is also feeling good with these records despite that the AZ Marth hasn't really competed in too much himself so far this year. Someone I know for sure is not happy to see another Marth in attendance is known Marth hater Curve, whose affliction isn't going to get any better anytime soon as he recently switched over to a Fox main from a Luigi main. It's only been a few weeks since the 75th best in the world made the character switch, so I wouldn't have too high of expectations for him this weekend, despite the fact that he has had a Fox secondary for quite a while now. And last but not least, we've got Shifted, the AZ Falcon who just snuck in the top 100 as 96th best in the world, who started off the year following up trading sets with Axid and AZ Local with an underwhelming 65th at Genesis 7, beating the Real Things Falco but losing to Levin and Crunch's Foxes, so he'll be looking to bounce back here in Cali. Other names that jump out as notable on the attendee list are the SoCal Fox Smash Daddy, who wasn't able to defend his spot as 86th best in the world on the latest ranking, Jace, who is a Falcon main originally from Kansas, who sits as 22nd best on the SoCal PR from the summer, and the Marth main Deft, who's currently ranked as AZ's 3rd best player and was formerly the best player in Oklahoma. And that about does it for this video. Remember that I'll be doing a top 8 pre-show for the event on Sunday morning to talk about who's the best chance at taking home the win at DreamHack Anaheim, so be sure to click that link down in the description to follow me over on Twitch. Also, let me know down in the comments who you think is going to win the event as of right now and why you've got your faith in them. And that about does it for me. I've been SaveAsUntitled, and I will see you guys next time.